So, Dan, thank you very much for coming here today. But why do you want to work for us? Yeah, thank you very much for the invitation. Actually, I'm not sure I want to join the team as of yet. First, I would like to learn more about this opportunity and how can my experience, or if the type of experience I have, could eventually add value to your team.
Is this a good answer? Or a better question would be, when does such an answer work?
So, Dan, can you tell me a bit more about yourself? Sure. So I've been in enterprise facing solution architecture roles for 13 years now and in the IT industry since 2002. My current job is with Random Soft, primarily supporting Business One, which is the first material workload in Azure. My role is quite unique in that it's a pre sales function which sits inside of my company's engineering. This gives me an in depth understanding of the inner workings of the platform and allows me to bring this knowledge to make customers succeed. It's a two-way street as I also synthesize and feed our customers' feedback to engineering in order to constantly improve the platform. Before that, I worked for consultancies such as Capgemini, implementing data intensive applications for financial services institutions. Okay, thank you. So, Dan, when is the last time you had a conflict with your boss and what did you do about it? Yes, yeah. So in fact, it was just the other week we had our latest round. Actually, I completed her project on time, but then she blamed me for not completing some extra features. So to be clear here, I don't really enjoy working with negative type of people. However, I did complete the project quickly and with high quality. I see. Yeah.
I believe it's clear this type of answer will disqualify from any job, regardless of subject matter expertise or any other recommendations. I actually designed this answer to sound particularly bad because I wanted to emphasize two problems with it. First, the obvious one, she blamed me for something. So, this type of he said, she said cannot really work to your favor in a job interview. And usually, whenever you're talking about someone else in a job interview, you're taking up risks. The job interview should always be about yourself and sell yourself on your strength. The second problem with this answer is negativism. Notice I also mentioned the keyword because I wanted to further emphasize on this. And from my coaching experience, I know that many people sound negative even without realizing it. So if you would like to check for such issues, maybe analyze a bit how you answer questions about interpersonal skills and ensure that you have at least 2 or 3 such stories prepared for the interview.
So Dan, can you tell me about the time when you had to deal with a ambiguous situation? For example, when you didn't have enough data to make the right call. What did you do about this? What path did you take? And did the decision turn out to be the correct one? Yes, it's an interesting question. And I believe we all have to deal with ambiguous situations from time to time. Actually, I'm quite confident of being able to handle such situations quite well. One key here, I believe, is to really take your time and minimize your chances for a wrong decision. With respect to the data gathering, the first idea which comes to mind would be to also delegate the right type of people to find out these type of data required for the right decision to take place. Or another way to go about this would be to use the right tools to efficiently, again, find the right metrics for decision to make it to be made, and why not make the right call every single time. I'm right a lot in such situations. In fact, leadership just recommended me for a promotion just a few months ago. I understand. Yeah.
So this is a terrible example. It's basically just rambling. The only positive thing about this answer is that the interviewee is using a couple of keywords from the interviewer's question, which is usually a good thing. But still, there's no actual example here. The candidate talks about how they would deal with an ambiguous situation versus a time they actually dealt with one. So the interviewer would expect you to talk about a specific time when you dealt in an ambiguous situation, preferably, of course, in the star format, and of course, relevant to the role that you're applying for. Let's look at the better example here.
Dan, how do you deal with ambiguous situations? Do you like precaution or do you like taking risk? Or can you tell me about the time when you've done so? Yes, this happened in 2019, and my job was to sell cloud services at the time. Sales went well, so I decided to explore a new offering and promote a data backup solution to our customers. Since meeting my quarterly goal depended on the success of the operation, I spent a lot of time educating everyone about how this worked through various webinars and direct calls. 1 month in, I ran into a major compliance problem. In order for the data backup solution to work, many of the customer servers required HIPAA compliance. Since our software as a service platform didn't provide HIPAA compliance in backup environments at the time, I had a decision to make. Ask our engineers to add HIPAA compliance to backup environments on the go and continue selling this to our customers, or, at least temporarily, shift away from this and reprioritize selling my traditional services so I could meet my quarterly goals. I evaluated the feasibility of implementing HIPAA compliance to backup environments, and it was certainly possible, although not as straightforward as I would have liked. Engineers in charge estimated a few weeks of work due to their own competing priorities. Given the situation, I decided to reverse my original decision to sell backup services in order to prioritize meeting my quarterly target. This was not an easy call after spending 1 month to get everyone excited about my new offering, but this was the right thing to do. So I continued my sales for the services I was used to, while engineers worked on providing HIPAA compliance for the backup environments. HIPAA compliance was completed within 5 weeks, which was now just 2 weeks before the end of the quarter. To conclude, selling my traditional services allowed me to meet my quarterly goals, and in the 2 remaining weeks of selling HIPAA-compliant backup services, I doubled my sales, which resulted in a promotion.
Just a quick remark here. Notice how the question asked whether you prefer precaution or you like taking risk, and how the answer subtly touched on both. And last but not least, a more and more common interview question these days is, tell me about one of your projects, or what's the best story that you prepared for the interview. And this is actually a super efficient method to differentiate between candidates who actually prepare versus others who are just trying to come up with something on the spot. Now, also interesting from a behavioral interviewing perspective, the best candidates are almost always the ones with the best stories. So then if you have, 3 to 5 best stories, also a good idea that you prioritize using those stories versus others, so you can be perceived as a better candidate. All right. Yes. Not to reuse them. Oh, okay. Got it. Yeah. All right. So maybe don't reuse these stories over and over again, because interviewers have gotten smarter over time, and they're actually started also taking notes and confronting them. So towards the end of the interview process, they will confront these notes and see how many stories you actually used for the interview. So for example, if you only use 3 stories for the entire 5 interview rounds, you'll be perceived as someone either inexperienced for the job, either intentionally trying to influence the process to your favor. But still, it's worth prioritizing your best stories. And if you feel like you're in danger of reusing a story too many times, you could simply ask the interviewer, hey, I have this amazing story which I just used with your previous colleague. Is it okay if I talk about the same story right now, or maybe you have another question? And here another trick in behavioral interviews is that your interviewers will almost always have a good set of 3 to 5 questions that they ask all candidates in the same order. Okay, so they will have another question for you, which could be also another opportunity for you to give your best stories and answers. So hopefully you found this information useful, and thank you very much for watching.